Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, a Degenerate Friday edition of the program. And speaking of degenerates, we pay homage to one of our favorite degenerates, major contributor on our chat line. And that would be the great Andy Tiff, Trader Tiv, as he's known. This guy, I was over at his place yesterday. He did me a favor and printed up some documents that I needed because in my ineptitude, technically, I haven't figured out how to hook up my printer to the computer that I use for the shows.
You're not. Shirley connected the printer in our home, and I still don't know how to use it myself. So you're not.
It's weird. I have another laptop here that I've had forever. Do laptops just eventually crap out?
Yeah, everything does. Technology nowadays. Look, our microwave, which was like almost $500, lasted 3 years and a week. Of course, we had a 3-year warranty.
Of course.
I swear, the little stupid microwave that my parents had my whole life, that was made in like the 80s, lasted 25 years.
Like it has Ron Popeil's picture on it.
My grandma had a microwave from like the 70s that she still used in 2008. So yes, they make things purposely to not last very long. That's actually, again, like cell phones. Every 2-3 years, you need a phone. Even if you don't care about getting a new phone, they don't last. They make them to not last, including laptops.
This laptop's been fairly reliable. I mean, I've had it forever. But beyond that, I don't know what happened. It was working fine, and just won't connect to the internet. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's like one small adjustment, and it'll be working again. Anyway, that was the thing I had hooked up to my printer, and I print out a lot of stuff over the course of time with different scripts and things like that. So I definitely need it. In this case, it was divorce papers I was having printed up, but which is great now. I mean, you could do a do-it-yourself divorce. Is awesome.
If you don't have, you guys had property, but I guess you have an amicable understanding with the property.
Like, well, amicable is maybe a little bit of an exaggeration. There's nothing overly amicable about it, but it's a straightforward
understanding. Thing. I mean, there's an understanding. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have tons of properties. You don't have multiple kids. You don't have, like, again, my divorce was very easy. Like, I went to the thing.
Oh, she split, and you never saw her.
Well, no, she had to sign the papers, and then I never saw her again.
That's the best way to get divorced. She disappears.
Very clean, yes. Yeah. This life exists because that was clean. Yes. If you guys are both despise each other, like each other, whatever word you want to use,
it makes no difference.
Very easy. It can be very easy. Yes.
And there's nothing involved in terms of, people say, well, she did this, she did that, you did this, you did that. It really doesn't matter. It's no fault divorce. It's 50-50 splitsky. Like you say, it becomes more complicated when they're kids and multiple possessions that you guys have to decide how to divvy up. But in this case, we have one property. There's some money involved there, unfortunately, because this goes in total defiance to my book about relationships, which is, thank God I was broke at the time.
That's never actually happened for you. You're broke after.
Horses and divorces, man. Those two things. I remember when I had that broken down boat that I had in my backyard years ago, and it didn't run, so it really didn't make any difference. In fact, my girlfriend's stepfather at the time had found this boat just drifting in the intercoastal. Somebody had cut it loose because it was about to sink, I think. Would have been better off just, taking it to Gilligan's Island, or maybe even Epstein's Island, where everybody seems to have shown up now. Isn't it amazing how guys that say they never know the guy have pictures? Are these AI generated?
No, no.
The guy, I mean, they have pictures like on the island there. And they still are in total denial. I mean, how crazy is it? Woman, what woman? It's the old Ed Kaplan theory, where you're caught red-handed in bed with another woman, and the wife or the girlfriend, whoever you're having a relationship with, comes home, sees you in bed naked with another woman, and she says, "Who's she?" Which is the one question that no guy can ever answer under any circumstances. It doesn't matter. You could be staring at somebody. Somebody could come over and say hello to you in a bar. Hey, Defo, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. And you get that glare, and you can almost feel the pressure of the question coming. Who's she? I don't know her. She must just be a listener. I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, yeah. So Andy's printing his stuff up for me, and it's fairly straightforward. I mean, in this case, we're probably going to have a little lingering overlap because of the condo market right now, and either give your place away or hold on for a little while and hope that the market comes back around. So found a decent arrangement to go ahead and get this thing all over with. Although there's some sketchy details still, so we'll see. I may be living in Las Vegas in the next couple of weeks. Very possible. Can you live there on Social Security alone? It would take me a while to get started out there. So we'll see what happens. But long story short, now I'm over there at Andy's place yesterday. I see him. He was great and did me this favor. I had talked to one of my neighbors who's very technically savvy, and he was going to help me hook up the computer, but it was already too late. I had Andy print this stuff out. And of course, I don't know how he does it, man. Did you ever see him operating on his laptop there? He's known as Trader Tiv, and he's making day trades like all day long.
It's constant. He comes in Landlubbers to do trivia at 6:30 at night, and now I guess at 7, and he would always have his laptop. I'm like, dude, do you sleep? He's like, yeah, Saturday to Sunday. Because Sunday the market's closed. He sleeps 1 day a week. He doesn't sleep at all. I'm like, oh my God, Andy. I'm like, how do you do that?
And I found out too that I didn't realize this, that he only has vision in one eye. Is that true?
I know he had a stroke
true.
years ago,
Yeah.
so his eyes messed up.
So he's got like his eye right on the computer the whole day. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. But great guy. We know that. And long story short, I mean, he does the document printing for me, and then I ended up following this Heat game with him last night via text. So he bet the under in the Heat game against the 76ers. Now, we were questioning the line yesterday because weren't the Heat, were they favored by 2.5?
By 2.5. You were on that like all show yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that was a curious line, which would suggest that Joel Embiid was known that he was not going to play. Excuse me. So he ends up having a monster game. The Heat and 76ers, it's 130 was the total at the half. They have 130 between the two teams. Heat are down 16. So, okay, look, Tyrese Maxey, who at one time you questioned whether or not he was a superstar, as I was telling you, I really like this kid.
Yep, you nailed it.
And much like your assessment of Justice Winslow versus Devin Booker, on this one, Lubie, as much as I respect your basketball opinions, you happen to be dead wrong.
I was wrong. I thought I never said he was bad. I just didn't know what he was. Like he's turned into their best player, honestly, and their most consistent player. And I guess top 5. I don't know where you rank him, but he's an all-star caliber player every year now, which I was not sure about. You loved him from the beginning. You liked him.
Well, I mean, you could see the potential. You don't know if it's ever going to manifest itself into actually becoming a viable, as you like to say, a number one. Now, are you going to be a number one on a team that has Joel Embiid? You know the emphasis is going to be on Embiid. And yet, with his inconsistent performances because of his injuries in terms of being in the lineup, you get things like you did yesterday where the bookies literally hand you a gift. I mean, if you had known that Embiid was going to be in that game, how much money would you have laid off on the Philadelphia 76ers at home against a Heat team that we characterized yesterday and borrowed this from a guy that had written an article about it, an assessment in his power rankings on CBS Sportsline, which I use. And he had said, very correctly so, I don't think you need to be a genius to make this observation, that the Heat are the definition of mediocre. They're an okay team. They're around 500. They beat up on the sloppy teams, the crummy teams, and they're not very good against the very good teams. So is that a little redundant? Very good against the very good teams. The head's still swimming a little bit because these Florida colds never go away. They never go. I was fine yesterday, last night, sort of swimming in a little bit of that flu that's going around, which has now afflicted. You're the only guy I don't think that is. You're the only guy I think that is not sick.
I've somehow miraculously stayed away from it, yes, and I'm scared to death around being around any of you because Mayo's always got something going on. I love Segredo, but he's gotten to a place where he has stuff going on. And then you now, because you're the social man, you're out with people and people are sick. So I'm scared to be around any of you.
Generally plow right through it. Which I'm doing okay with this. I mean, it's not like it's the other. When I lost the voice there for a couple of days, it was
sucks.
very inhibiting. And then early yesterday morning, I felt like absolute dog crap. But it dissipates during the day. Isn't that the weirdest thing about Florida flus? Is that consistent?
Nighttime's way the worst. The nighttime
fine all day, daytime, morning, and late at night. It's like
Suck.
ringing death. Yeah, just
Yeah.
coming over you. You can see they used to have those commercials where they represented Coles as like some foggy
Oh,
schmutz
yeah,
that was
yeah,
hanging over your head.
yeah.
That's kind of how it was. But feel pretty good today. I mean, I have to say, although last night again, after feeling fine all day, boom, it hits me like a ton of bricks at night. And I don't know. I mean, is it okay to combine cold medications?
Oh, Jesus.
Because I just take anything that's in the drawer. I almost took some Paxlovid last night, but then I thought better of it.
It's
What else did I have in there? I had some prednisone. Does that work on a cold?
I don't know.
Suspended use of prednisone. I think I had used 1 day's worth. The stuff was still in a drawer. So anyway, so we're following this Heat game with Andy, only from a degenerate standpoint. And it looked like, okay, Maxey can't continue to hit threes. He goes 5 for 5 in the first quarter, scores 20 points, and it looks like it's going to be a Philly blowout. And then he goes 0 for 7 the rest of the game on 3-pointers. Now, he ended up having a big ball game. 5 for 12 is not terrible, but he hit his first 5, missed his next 7. And this is the state of the NBA today and why it's become somewhat, I don't know. I mean, I'm not one that wants to say it's an unwatchable product. A lot of people think that.
Depends on who you. It depends on the teams. Like it really does. Like the teams that are all about the three are really hard to watch. Like most teams incorporate the three a great deal now, but some like look the Celtics. I don't know how they are now, but in the playoffs, like, and look as a guy who hates on them, it was to their detriment because they live and die by the three. But like watching them a lot of the time, it's just them chucking three. And Jaylen Brown's not a 3-point shooter. To see Jaylen Brown chucking threes makes zero sense. Like so to watch that Rockets a few years ago were really tough to watch. Like yeah, some of the teams are harder to watch than others. But yes, it's changed. The game itself. We've talked about this for a few years. It just feels different. Like it just feels. I don't know. It got again like the '90s, where the '90s was very physical and boring and low scores. Now you have high scores, but it's the opposite because it's just chucking. So it's still predictive, and it's just it gets old, at least to me.
It's funny to think. I mean, you look at the stats afterwards and you see a team was like 14 for 42
Yeah, like come on.
from 3-point range. And by any standard of the basketball, the type of basketball that was preached and coached when I was growing up and playing a lot of basketball, 14 for 42, you would be subjected and considered as a possibility to have your right hand amputated if you were a right-handed shooter. 14 for 42. And actually, when you do the math on this, 14 for 42 is right on the number of shooting 50% from 2-point range. So stuff it up your ass, Dave DeBuscher. I mean, forget about getting inside of 20 feet. 14 for 42 is a viable number.
Yes,
And you're thinking, if you're watching this trek, 14 for 42 is pathetic. I mean, they missed 28 shots out of the 42 that they jacked up. And this is considered the highest level of basketball. So
yes.
anyway, it looked like it had to cool off a little bit. They had 130 points, the two teams total after the first half. Slows down a little bit in the third quarter, but still very much fluctuating. I mean, however they crunch these numbers, the mathematicians that are doing the analytics and putting up these spreads, pretty remarkable that they're almost always right around it. I mean, we said this forever. If the bookies were running the country, we wouldn't have had to listen to that dreadful State of the Union address because the economy actually would be booming. Everybody would be prosperous. Those guys really know how to crunch numbers. And so now with this new fad of in-game betting, Andy gets down on the over on 240. It might have been 240 and a hook later in the game to cover his ass for the bet that it looked like he was certainly going to lose with the 245 and a half over. Is this interesting to anybody, Lubie? Or we
No, to me, with what we do daily on the show, it was yes. I mean, we over talked about the game itself, but the bet itself is very interesting. The fact that the over under was 240 and a hook.
Yeah.
So I won't steal the story from you, but like what he went about doing and how it worked out to me is very interesting because it rarely works out that way.
It was Chris Middleton, man, as in middleman. You always hear these ads like for places. Now, why we can eliminate the middleman? But
Yep.
Andy Tiv is the middleman. You said this also. I mean, he's middling
Yeah,
everything.
he's weird about mid. Well, because it's like hedging. It's the extreme of risk. Like gambling's already risk. He wants to not only win, he wants to win both ways. He wants to win winning and losing. Like he wants to win both
Yeah,
ways.
which is essentially what happens.
Yes, yes.
So the game ends up falling. The Heat don't score for 2 minutes and 44 seconds. They get
Oh, Jesus.
beaten on. Tyler Hero gives them the lead when they were down 16 at halftime. He gives them the lead with 2:44 to go.
God damn.
1 point lead.
Was
It's a
Powell hurt? Were you watching this? Was Powell hurt? Is Powell still hurt?
Powell
Played 10
was
minutes.
not in the game for very long. Yeah.
If you get to watch, I don't get their local thing. That's why I don't watch. It's not because I hate the Heat. I don't get the local thing, so I have to scorecast. Like it says he played 10 minutes. So I'm like, Powell is not playing 10 minutes if he's hell. Like,
No,
so
you would have wanted him in this game. I mean, you would have
they could
needed
have
the
used
shooting.
exactly. They could have used him. That's annoying. Or go on. Sorry, that's annoying.
Well, I mean, bottom line is he ends up winning both bets because the game falls on 241,
Yes.
and he gets the over for his in-game bet that he made, and he gets the under for the original bet that he made, which he could have just stuck with, but he ends up winning both. And what does that do? It just fuels your enthusiasm and infuses a confidence in you that you probably a very false confidence that you can do this all the time. Now, if you're doing that all the time, yeah, remember Hank Goldberg was big with that. The great late Hank Goldberg was always talking about, yeah, I middled that game and I got both. I'm thinking, why bother? I mean, at that point, it's nice when it works out, but I would have to think it's more rare than it is a regular, consistent thing that happens where these, he was talking about football games where they fall in the middle, where you get a line in one place and a different line in another. Too complicated for me. I guess if you're a day trader like Andy is with the success that he's had doing that, and that one eyeball on the screen really kind of funked me out a little bit. I don't know how you can do that all day.
He does it all day. It's like insane.
It's kind of like the guy at the track that has the big magnifying glass, and he's got his face right to the racing form. Like, and you're like, dude, man. I mean, is that really fun? Have your face pressed to a newspaper? Try to figure out which horse is going to come on top. But bottom line was the Heat couldn't beat the 76ers last night. They did come back. They rallied from the grave, down 16 at halftime. Tyler Hero had a big game off the bench. Bam Adebayo was a monster yesterday. You've been a little down on Bam Adebayo. Is it wrong to be critical of a guy? His season statistics look like this, Lubie. He's averaging 18 and a half points a game, 9.8 rebounds a game. There's nothing wrong with getting 10 boards a game.
No, that's for him. That's big. He's usually around like the eight, the 7.5 to 8.5 number. That for him, that's a nice number. Double digits, which I round up. 9.8 is 10. And that's double digits. That for Bam Adebayo, rebounding wise, if you actually play where and you can get the double digits from where, the rebounding deficiency that they had is eliminated. Right, that two guys averaging double digit rebounds. You can rebound now with some of the bigger teams. The problem is he didn't do that before.
Did Khalil Ware somehow emerge from Spo's doghouse?
I don't know because he barely played last night. I was going to ask you since you watched.
He was out there. I mean, I don't watch all of the game. I was flipping back and forth through a bunch of things.
It says he played he played 12 minutes.
Well, then I saw all 12 minutes that he played.
Yeah, so at least they used him at the end of the game. Then thank goodness. Like that's probably why they built a 16-point lead. Like, why are you not? Go on. I mean,
he looked good to me when he was in there. I mean,
yeah, I don't get it. Like Powell and Ware. Now Powell has had an injury, so that he must still be dealing with that. But like, if Ware played more than 12 minutes, you can't tell me that can't close a gap of 7 points. Like him and Bam are really tough to score on. Like I don't. No, he's still in the doghouse. If he's playing 12 minutes last night, then the doghouse is still there because Spo is picking and choosing between the games. If he's gonna, some games he plays 20 something minutes, and then some he plays 10. Like the guy can't play 10 minutes. Like he's young. Again, if you're like you're talking about, if you're mediocre, play your young guys. Like that's the one thing. If you're gonna be mediocre, like Hakatronis had 17. Okay, at least he's getting more minutes. I still would like him to be in the 20 to 30 minute range because I'd rather him start. I'd rather have all the young guys just out there. If you happen to win, like what the Bucks are doing, where they're winning games without Giannis, which is just pissing off their front office, like that's a different story. If you win with the young guys, okay, at least the young guys are showing that they can win. I don't need. And again, Wiggins, you were not wrong. He's playing good basketball, but
Wiggins is playing well.
He is, but I'd rather get 25 minutes from Ware and 25 minutes from Hakatronis instead of getting 35 from Wiggins. Like I don't see how that helps you. He's going to be gone next year. Like what? He's a free agent. Like what does that do for you? Like I just don't. It's a weird mentality that they're playing with. They're like, okay, we want to try and win, but then we're losing anyways. So it's like play the young guy.
Well, they will make the postseason. I don't know
Probably,
that they have
yeah.
any chance
They're
of
probably
going.
gonna be shooing for the play-in because the rest of the teams after the 10 suck. So it's annoying. Like that, I'd rather lose these games and get a top 10 pick because this draft, there's 5 to 6 dudes that are insane.
Yeah.
So if you can be in a top 10 slot, you have a really good shot of sneaking into like a top 5, top 6 pick. Like otherwise, what is it like? There's another wasted year. Like it's just weird to me what the Heat are doing. I don't get it.
Andy admits, and this is good
Yeah,
because
yeah,
most people
that's
never
about
admit when they lose. He says
well,
it doesn't
Andy
matter.
says
He gave it
it
back on Hong Kong ping pong.
like an
Quarter
hour
in the
ago.
middle of it. Does this guy ever sleep? I mean, he takes a lot of medications to combat all of the different things that are plaguing him. All right, so we spent a lot of time talking about a mediocre basketball team here, Miami Heat. They lose a game in Philly, 124-117. They're probably going to make the postseason. Not likely to go very far into the postseason. And as Grant Long was saying, a distinct possibility. I don't know. Will they meet Detroit in the first round? Would be kind of interesting because there is that possibility that they end up. They're beyond the play-in. I mean, they're like what 6, 7 seeds, something like that right now in
No,
the Eastern Conference.
they were like 8, 9,
Oh
and then
yeah,
lost
okay.
last night. So because it's really tight from like 6 to 10, it's actually really tight. The Heat they're in the 8 right now, and again,
Nope.
they're only a game out of the 7 with Orlando, and that's the thing about the Philadelphia, which sucks. Like if they actually win, I mean, it doesn't suck. I'd rather them lose, but since they clearly aren't leaning in that path, they would if they had won last night, they'd only be a game and a half behind Philadelphia for the 6. Which again, so you're going to lose to the Knicks in the first round because the Knicks, as much as I give the Knicks crap, the Knicks would beat the Heat. Like the
I would
Knicks
think. Yeah,
are consistent, long,
it doesn't
athletic.
look like they're going to win a playoff series.
No, the top 4 seeds are all teams that the Heat do not match up well against.
All right.
Toronto, if they found a way to play Toronto, they can play Toronto well because I don't know what the hell Toronto is.
So concluding, the Heat are mediocre.
Yeah, they are.
They
They,
showed it
they
again
are
last night.
mediocre. And like the professor who
With
played in
signs of life, some signs of life,
yeah,
but
because
I don't know where
only,
it's going.
I'd rather not, and I'll bring them on. I'd rather not have the signs of like be good or bad. This gentleman taught me this a long time ago. Be good or bad. Like this mediocre, especially the NBA, the NFL. Any first round pick should be a star. So you can do this in the NFL. Maybe I don't know. Basketball, you are punished by this. This
How deep does it go, Professor? Let's bring in the professor here. College stars. I mean, what we know of about 3 or 4 names, but if you're picking 10th or 11th, somewhere in the top 15, how good of a player do you think you're going to land based on your college basketball expertise?
This year?
Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 at the top, and increasingly people are saying there's 1 at the top because of Peterson's durability issues. But let's just say you've got Peterson and DeBonza, and they are cut above everybody else. Then there's a clear number 3 in Cameron Boozer, and opinions are somewhat mixed on him. I personally think he's a very good player. Is he going to be a superstar? Probably not, but like, could he be Paolo Banchero, who, despite being another Duke guy, is a guy he gets a lot of comps to? Yeah, he could. He could be a very good player. And then you got a group of like 10 guys who could be anywhere from solid starters to stars. A couple of them I really like. We mentioned Darius Acuff a couple of weeks ago. You've got, the kid from Illinois, Wagler, Keaton Wagler, who's finishing the strong very. You've got Burries out of Arizona. You've got Ament at Tennessee. All of guys who have some star-like ability, like guys who can really put the ball in the hoop. And then you kind of got a wild card because he's only played half the season, and you know his name, and that's Gilbert Arenas' son, Elijah, who coming into the season was thought to be maybe the best scorer in the class, but he's missed half the year. So we shall see what happens. But yeah, this is a very deep draft class, and this would be a good class to have a lottery pick in. So yeah, I mean, I'm with Lubie. Like, I don't see the glory in the play-in game, and getting trounced in the first round. I'd play the young guys. If you make the playoffs anyway, that's fine. But I'm with Lubie. I would like to see what you have in some of the good, the young guys, particularly the Russian out of Illinois, because I mean, again, the evaluation on him was like, if he hits his ceiling, he's like poor man Luka, which you've seen a couple times with the Heat. Not that he's there yet. Not that he's Luka and he came in being that as a rookie, but you see that potential is there in a young player. So, again, I'd like to see these guys get minutes, and I'd like to sort of evaluate your, because you know what you are with Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez and Norman Powell and this sort of island of misfit toys thing we've got going on for the last 3 years. You're a team that's going to make the playoffs pretty much every year, and you're going to lose in the first round pretty much every year. That's just where you are talent level wise.
All right, we're going to come back with the professor. A couple of other things before we take this break. And, of course, we have a big board and some college basketball to pick. I did want to run this by both of you guys, though. If I can, if you'll indulge me, what do these people have in common? Austin Smotherman, Nico Echeverria, Taylor Moore, Christopher Perda, and I can't read my own writing on this. Any idea what those guys have in common?
Yes, they will all be killed by Pete Hegseth's Terminators that he's trying to build.
That would be a better
guess. I don't know how we're talking about any other story in the world right now other than the current Secretary of War, as opposed to Secretary of Defense, because he changed the name.
Yeah.
Never saw Terminator. We actually wants to build Terminators. We are going through a conflict right now where there's this huge deal affecting the stock market and anything else because he's trying to blackmail the largest AI company in the world into helping him build Terminators.
Seems like another intelligent move coming from the
I told everybody I know as a kid, because I thought this was going to happen 150 years from now. You need to get your kids out of youth sports and get them into killing robot camps, because 30 years from now, the only thing that's going to matter is your ability to kill robots.
And it's applicable, and excuse my French, but you just can't make this shit up.
You really can't.
Nah, that's insane.
Again, the whole experiment with the Air Force where they tried to program the AI within the machine, and then the plane decided to start killing people within 30 minutes. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, AI was nothing compared to what it is now.
It's insane. All right, we're going to come back with more. Those guys are atop the leaderboard at the Cognizant Classic. By the way.
Jesus. Okay.
Is this the one where Shane Lowry is freaking out and flipping off the crowd? And I saw that part of it.
Delray? It's down here. It's in
it's West Palm Beach, PGA National, West Palm Beach.
Okay. Is that the only PGA event going on? I saw a story where Shane Lowry went ape blank at the crowd.
Maybe European Tour. I don't know. I didn't see that, but. And of course, what was the redheaded stepchild of Doral for many years, known as the Honda Classic for a long, long time. And it was always a tournament that you saw a lot of the premier players just skip. And you would get a lot of new talent emerging in that tournament to get their first win. But this is the strangest leaderboard I've ever seen. The first name that was recognizable was sixth place, Daniel Berger. Was coming off a bunch of injuries, and of course is the son of the great tennis player Jay Berger, who happens to be a friend of mine, and really hasn't done much of late.
I was going to say, not exactly a PGA superstar on that.
Well, he was, he's had all kinds of injury problems. He was really coming along. And
I realize he was, at one point a pretty good player, but when you think of the big names in golf, he's not one that
he's not in
comes to mind. Yeah.
And he would be the only recognizable name for me among the top 6 or 7 players that are on the leaderboard there, and that was a tournament that at least attracted some.
So you're saying you ought to be able to scalp tickets for the weekend pretty cheap? Might get a nice price.
Who the hell are these guys? I never heard of a single one of them, and I do. You follow golf a little bit with your tournament players.
A little bit. I have never heard of any of those guys, although I will admit, outside of the big name superstars, I don't know the day-to-day grinders. On
Nico Echeverria sounds like a second baseman for the Texas Rangers.
100%.
All right, here's Nico Echeverria. I mean, the guy can hit to the opposite field. You can hear the introduction.
100%.
All right, Cats win last night 5-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are staggering around. They are actually.
No, they have to finish strong.
Yeah, their odds are against them making the postseason. According
because I think they're out of it right now, and there's not that many games.
You know what I did just notice, because I'm looking at this leaderboard, Defo?
Yeah.
Half these guys are from Nordic countries. When did the Swedes and the Finns and the Norwegians get good at golf?
One of them teed off with a ski.
Is this just a follow through from the Winter Olympics? They were like, yeah, we're gonna let the
Well,
Nordic
it was
people win
snowing in
again.
Palm Beach, so they were able to navigate the turf
Well,
pretty
when do
easily.
these people learn how to play golf? It snows 9 months a year.
Must be indoors there doing that like Tiger Golf League or whatever that
I
is.
guess. Jeez.
All right, we're going to come back with the professor. We got a big board. We have some college basketball to discuss and whatever else we can get to here on the show. Mike Lubie Lubitz, the professor, and I'm Jeff DeForest. Back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
8:36.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten Meshuggah.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you guys with us, professor with us, and that always means college basketball and selections and a big board. And what kind of assessment would you give to what's available over the weekend, Professor? What do you think of the college slate? Anything that stands out to you right away?
I mean, the sport is depressing me right now because for like the last week and a half, we've come down to like all the teams you really thought were strong are not looking so great, and the two left are Duke and Florida. So could be an even worse Final Four than last year.
Yeah,
where it bottomed out so badly that I was actively cheering for Kelvin Sampson, which and the week where we're sort of sorting out, not a ton of great matchups. We do have a couple on the card. I already took Michigan last night. I took them a 1.5. It's up to 2.5. People kind of down on them for some reason after that game against Duke. I didn't think they looked that bad. I thought they got sort of out home courted in that spot, and they could not really shut down Cameron Boozer, who became very efficient in response to Michigan's double teams and didn't put up a ton of shots, but managed to be very effective. Now they go on Illinois. Illinois, after looking very impressive for a couple weeks, has kind of slipped in the last two. Lost 2 of their last 4. Lost at home to Wisconsin, which was a bad one, and then lost on the road to UCLA, which the way UCLA direction was going, not that impressive. So I like Michigan minus the 1.5. I do think they'll rebound. I think Michigan is still primed for a deep run despite the loss to Duke. I think people overreacting to that game if they're down on the Wolverines. That takes us to there is another sort of interesting one tonight, and this is how bad it's gotten, Defo. You're not going to be ready for what's about to come out of my mouth because it's possibly the most immoral thing I have ever said in the history of this show. But you kind of got to like the Yale Bulldogs laying 3.5 to Cornell.
Yale. You're now
on the road.
Yale. Oh, Jesus.
I'm not saying you should do that because, again, it is wholly immoral.
You've bet on Florida in the last 2 weeks. You've bet on Duke, Florida, and now Yale.
Shows you emotional attachment has nothing to do with.
You sure we have years before the AI robots end the world? It feels like this weekend is nigh.
But yeah, if you're just looking for good spots, Yale tonight might not be a bad spot.
Jesus.
That takes us into tomorrow. Again, not getting a ton of early lines. I guess we're dealing with some injuries here. Of the ones I do see, Defoe's not going to like this one, but I kind of think you got to like Nova plus the 5.5 against St. John's after that performance the other night. I mean,
Boy, that was
it
ugly.
is a little worrisome because it's at home, and St. John's has brought their referees to pretty much every home game. But you saw what St. John's is when they don't bring their refs against UConn the other night. Because after beating UConn at home on the back of 33 free throws, they, let's say, did not compete very well without their friends in the striped shirt in the second
Is that a
match.
record, Professor? I would imagine it's not, but they missed their last 24 field goals in that game.
I don't know. That one is difficult to say. The game I really like is Gonzaga laying 1.5 against St. Mary's. They played, just a couple 3 weeks ago, and Gonzaga kind of handled St. Mary's. That one was at home, but again, Gonzaga kind of cruised in that one. The final margin, which I think was 8 or 10, was not indicative of the game. Gonzaga was up like 18 for most of the second half and then cruised at the end. Only laying 1.5 on the road here, so we like the Zags. And then I'm not seeing that many lines for Saturday's early action. Let's just see here. You got Duke 9.5 over UVA. I'd be inclined to lean towards Duke in that one, although UVA's style has given Duke problems over the years. Iowa State and Texas Tech 7 and a hook. Inclined to lean towards Iowa State, although Texas Tech, after Obi Toppin got not Obi. What is Toppin's first? After Toppin got they're not related somehow.
They're not. Okay,
which is a little odd. What is his first name? Why can't I think of this? JT Toppin. Sorry.
There you
After JT Toppin's injury, Texas Tech bounced that back very strong. Still would like Iowa State in the 7 and a hook there. Arizona and Kansas, I don't want anything to do with either of these programs. Like, they're so up and down game to game. And then we mentioned Florida laying 8.5. Florida looks like a buzzsaw right now, but Arkansas has been very good. So I don't know if I'd be okay with laying upwards of double digits in that matchup. So in terms of what we actually like Michigan minus 1.5 tonight. We kind of like Yale minus 3.5. Again, I can't believe I'm saying this. We actually like the font of all evil, Yale. And then we like Gonzaga plus minus 1 hook tomorrow, and Villanova plus 5.5.
Yeah.
All right. Springtime, always a great time in sports. There's that.
I'm picking Yale.
There's that endless debate about whether what's the best time of the year in sports. You got March Madness coming up and all this other stuff, spring training, baseball going to start. I think now at this stage of life, you would have to concede that without football, the spring takes a distant second to the fall when you have everything going on at the same time. But what direction does that leave you for the big board this week, Professor?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because we do have a football event going on this week, and that is the NFL Draft Combine is this weekend.
There you go.
And it started off yesterday with Reuben Bain's arms measuring 30 7/8 of an inch, which is the shortest measurement for an edge player that has happened in the last 25 years for projected first-round edge player. He has T-Rex arms, to be certain, and everybody is freaking the F out about it. Combined with David Bailey from Texas Tech running a 4.51, which generally surprised people.
He ran a 4.5?
Has a serious debate about who is going to be the first edge player coming off the board. And then Sonny Styles from Ohio State put up one of the monster workouts you'll ever see, including, and I'm not exaggerating here, this is a combine record for the position and the highest jump from any position in 25 years. He has a 43.5 vertical leap. Sonny Styles, for those of you who don't know.
You could take my entire Jewish Center congregation back when I was 13. 100 people, and not total that level of height.
For those of you who don't know, Sonny Styles is the Ohio State, and he played mostly inside, but he is a converted safety. He actually started as a safety. as a sophomore and then moved to inside linebacker. A lot of people comparing him to Brian Urlacher because of that particular move. And let's just say, although people hate for some reason comparing cross-racially when it comes to football, he's got a lot of Urlacher-like traits. So from a guy who was sort of a marginal top 10 to 15 to a guy, even though he's a linebacker and really more naturally an inside linebacker, probably easily going to go in the top 10. Now, we'll see what happens with Ruben Bain. I will tell you, if Ruben Bain is on the board at 11 and the Miami Dolphins don't take him, I am going to go find the new Green Bay Packers general manager and start stalking him immediately. I personally say, look, I don't care if Bain is literally a T-Rex. He may have T-Rex arms, but if you watch him, he also plays like a T-Rex out on the edge. And every time he has to put a power move on an offensive tackle. So
no problem.
These people wanting to drop Ruben Bain because of his arm length, I basically think you're morons. So that's where
Who
we
was the
started.
quarterback that had the small hands, which also...
Funny you mentioned that because we're actually going to be talking about that in a little bit here.
All right. I did want to preface this by saying that, and we apologize, Lubie, now with the newborn, of course, Luca. I believe you've been shirking your responsibility when it comes to the Combine Chronicles that always featured on the program, where Lubie made his observations about some of these workouts and what they would mean in terms of actual choices in the draft. But
well, that's the whole theme of this board: is does the Combine actually mean anything? Because there's people who swear by it. There's people who now have Ruben Bain as a 4th rounder because his arms are short. And then there are people who think the Combine is all nonsense. It's just a bunch of dudes in their underwear, and they'll flash that picture of Tom Brady looking flabby and during his Combine, and they'll be like, see, it's the greatest quarterback of all time. And then you look at him and that picture, you're like, well, now I see why he started eating avocados full time and getting cosmetic surgery every year, because that does not look like the same human being that showed up at the NFL Draft Combine. So let's start with number 5. And number 5 is where we tell you, no matter how bad it goes at the NFL Combine, there's always hope. And this is Orlando Brown. Technically, Orlando Brown II. His father, and also Orlando Brown, played in the league. Orlando Brown is known for, in 2018, having the worst NFL Combine of all time at any position. For those who are unfamiliar, who don't remember, Orlando Brown ran a 5.85, last at the offensive lineman, last of the Combine in the 40. Only beat Rich Eisen by 0.07 at the 40-yard dash that year. Only, again, this is a giant of a man, 6'8", 340 pounds. Only bench pressed 14 reps, which was the lowest offensive lineman. In fact, all of his workouts were bottom 3 for the offensive line. And other than the bench press, bottom 3 for all positions. Again, well known as the single worst combine that has ever been combined, and has since gone on to be a 4-time Pro Bowler as a left tackle, drafted by the Ravens in the 3rd round simply because he is the size of a Buick, and ended up by his last year in Baltimore making a Pro Bowl, traded to Kansas City, made 2 Pro Bowls and won a Super Bowl there, has since gone on to Cincinnati where he signed a $64 million contract and has largely been hurt the last 2 years. But point being, there's hope, Ruben Bain. There's hope anybody else who blows the Combine. No matter how terrible your Combine is, it's not as bad as Orlando Brown, and Orlando Brown has gone on to make $100+ million and be a 4-time Pro Bowler in the NFL. So there's always hope. No matter if you look worse than Rich Eisen and all the Combine workouts.
Does Eisen run in street shoes, or does he wear sneakers? What's his suit?
I think he was doing it in socks for a couple of years, and then I think he broke out the sneakers after that. So point being, buck up, folks. If your favorite player totally fumbles the Combine, he still may go on to be a very good professional football player.
I guess with these measurements, too, Trump's description of Ruben Bain and his comparison to an orangutan was probably inaccurate also. But never let the facts get in the way.
It's funny because we're going to compare somebody to an orangutan somewhere down the line here. So
be careful about that. All right, that's number 5.
Don't worry, it's a white guy.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4. There's a flip side to the Orlando Browns of the world, and that is Mike Mamula, Boston College legend Mike Mamula, who we have a lot of BC fans who are probably still hanging their head in shame. And honestly, Unlike some of his fellow Boston College brethren, like one John Bosa down here, Mike Mamula's career was not as bad as people make it out to be. He was actually a serviceable starting defensive end and pass rusher, recorded 8.5 sacks a couple times. He was just never the star.
Yeah, he was good.
And the thing is, if you saw his workout, which is still known as the all-time workout, you would have thought this was the next incarnation of Lawrence Taylor. Mike Mamula at nearly 260 pounds, at 258 pounds, ran a 4.58 40, which for defensive linemen of his time, wasn't an unheard of number. Mike Mamula finished at the top of his position group in the top 2 of his position group in every single workout, winning most of them. He finished in the top 4 of all positions in every single workout except the 40-yard dash. And on top of it all, Mike Mamula recorded the second highest Wonderlic score in the history of the NFL Combine. He scored a 49 on the Wonderlic, 1 point shy of Pat McNally, who holds the record at a perfect 50. Everything about Mike Mamula screamed the perfect prospect. It took him from like a mid-third round pick to a top 12 pick where the Philadelphia Eagles sold. The Philadelphia Eagles were so excited that they began to sell him immediately as the replacement for Reggie White, who had just departed for Green Bay in free agency. And it just didn't work out. Like, he was a serviceable NFL defensive edge, but he was far, far, far away from a superstar. So don't get too freaking out, Dolphins fans, about, say, one Chop Robinson, who ran, 4.49 or whatever the hell he did. But then you looked at his tape, and he had like one college sack against Big Ten competition, and you're like, well, maybe not so much with the Chop Robinson. And that's kind of the way it's turned out, is that Chop Robinson is Black Mike Mamula. So, again, point for it doesn't really matter, guys, that watch the tape more than you watch the Combine here. And that takes us to number 3, which is everybody's favorite event. And I love favorite event, but I think people totally misinterpret this particular event. And that, of course, is the 40-yard dash. Now, here we have a picture of Jordan Davis, who, as you can see, at 6'4", 340 pounds a couple of years ago, ran a 4.71 at the Combine. Ran it so fast that they compared it to recent quarterbacks because, of course, he's chasing quarterbacks. And you can see step and a half against Baker Mayfield, a good 2.5, 3 steps faster than Jameis Winston. And let's remember, although Jameis Winston has turned into just like a stone-footed pocket passing quarterback as he's gotten older in the NFL, when Jameis Winston was at FSU, he was known as an athletic. If I remember right,
center.
I was going to say, when Jameis Winston played baseball for Florida State, he played center field.
He was an elite pitcher and center, and he was a great center fielder.
I was saying, he was not known as a stone foot. But again, you see a man Jordan Davis's size nearly 3 steps ahead of where Jameis Winston was at the same point. And this is where I think people misinterpret the 40. Everybody freaks out about the guys who go super, super low at the 40. It's usually a wide receiver, a corner. Every once in a while, a running back. Chris Johnson briefly held the record for a few years there. But in terms of game speed, the difference between like a 4.2 and a 4.4 for a wide receiver is really negligible. In fact, John Ross, who held the record coming out of the University of Washington for about a decade, was a total bust. Xavier Worthy, who broke the record 2 years ago, so far, and was supposed to be the next Tyreek Hill, so far really hasn't done a hell of a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs. On the other hand, the guys who kind of surprise you, like if you had seen Ladd McConkey at Georgia, and then someone was going to tell you Ladd McConkey was going to show up at the Combine and run a 4.42 and measure out at 6'2", you would have been like, what? And I admit that I just discriminated against Ladd McConkey because his stupid name. Because I couldn't believe there was another white wide receiver named McConkey who wasn't Phil's son. Like, I could not believe that Ladd McConkey was a 6'2", 4.4 wide receiver. And that probably should have been an indication to you that Ladd McConkey was going to turn out to be pretty good because of despite all the white stereotype abilities that he had. Like, he reads zones well and he finds the open spot and he's got good hands and then he catches the ball with his hands and not his body, and all those little white slot receiver things. They give you He was also 6'2" and ran a 4.4. Like, that should have probably instantly told you that Ladd McConkey was going to be good. As opposed to, like I said, the other one, everybody always says, well, why would it matter for defensive tackles and why would it matter for offensive linemen? The funny thing is, the defensive tackles and offensive linemen who run surprisingly low almost always end up being very good to great players.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald ran a 4.65. Everybody's stunned that a man 295 pounds could. And by the way, Jordan Davis, who ran a 4.71, is not one of those guys who's 340 and sculpted. He is not Jonathan Ogden, who weighed 335 pounds but was built like a Greek statue. Jordan Davis is a fat guy.
Yeah.
And Lane Johnson, who ran like a 4.75 a few years back, ended up being a really good NFL offensive. So when a big fat lineman runs a low 40, it's actually a really good indicator that he's going to be a very, very good player because it ends up indicating his overall athleticism. So the 40, the one everybody has the most fun with, but also kind of an indicator, just not the way you think it. Ignore the wide receiver and the cornerback times. Watch the film on those guys. But when it comes to the linemen, if someone goes low, move them up your board because they tend to be good.
Excellent. Great depiction there with the illustration that you have. That's number 3. Number 2.
Number 2 is the one that everybody has laughed at for about 20 years now. And Defo just brought up, and that is quarterback hand size, which this became a big thing some years back with Alex Smith when Alex Smith was projected neck and neck with Aaron Rodgers, and everybody made a big deal that, and some teams had Rodgers won because Alex Smith had small hands. And Alex Smith's hand measurement is 9 inches exactly, and supposedly, if you measure beneath 9 1/2 inches, your hands are too small to play in the NFL. And it turned out, by the way, that Alex Smith did have fumbling problems. To use other first-round busts, Kenny Pickett a few years back set a record low for quarterbacks when he had only 8.5-inch hands. And through his struggles, if you watch the preseason, Kenny Pickett does, in fact, have a fumbling problem when it comes to the NFL and his little tiny hand. Much like you mentioned Donald Trump earlier, Donald Trump does, in fact, have the little tiny carny hands, much like Kenny Pickett. And
he fumbles a lot there.
It does lead the price. So if Donald Trump had played quarterback, he'd have probably fumbled a lot.
Would have been no surprise.
So here's the thing. You don't think it matters, and it sounds really stupid, but if you look at the historical numbers, it kind of matters. Another example, Jared Goff, 9-inch hands. Jared Goff already has 78 career fumbles at quarterback. And if you look at his time in the Detroit Lions, he doesn't get that often to be fumbling that much. On the other hand, and that takes us to slide 2A, here is a picture of Jeff George, the largest quarterback hands ever recorded at the NFL draft. Just above Ryan Mallett, who had 10.75-inch hands. Jeff George had 10 7/8-inch hands. And if you look at his hands, he does have hands like an orangutan. Like his hands were so large that if you look at it, he used to put his index finger on the tip of a football and then fold his hand over the rest of the ball. I've never seen any other quarterback who gripped a football that way. Jeff George, in 131 career starts, took more than 350 sacks, more than almost 3 sacks a game throughout the course of it, only fumbled 23 times in his entire career. So
that doesn't mean something.
There's something to it.
Again, as silly as the hand size thing seems to be, if you have giant orangutan hands playing the quarterback position, it sort of seems like maybe you don't fumble.
Could be an asset. No doubt about it. All right, that looms as a very key stat. Then I would have figured, you can totally ignore that. Although, as a guy that never could palm a basketball of regulation size, I can appreciate where this might cause fumbling problems if your hands aren't all that big. All right, and that's number 2. What ranks as number 1 at the comp?
Number 1, for a while, it was the most controversial, and now people have sort of settled into it, and that is particularly at one position. You want your Wonderlic score to be good, but not too good. This, of course, is Vince Young pictured here. Vince Young's Wonderlic, probably the most famous Wonderlic of all time. For those of you who don't remember, Vince Young scored a 6 on the Wonderlic. 6 out of 50 on the Wonderlic. Just for reference, Frank Gore, who had dyslexia so bad, or had such a bad case of dyslexia that he was allowed to audit all of his academics throughout college, as was mandated by the state of Florida that he be allowed to do that, scored an 8. So this course became a hugely controversial thing because just after it happened, somebody was laughing about it. The Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk overheard it, put his score on the internet, and because the Wonderlic scores at that time were supposed to be kept secret, it became the biggest deal in the world. The NFL announced, there was a mistake. We're going to retest him, and allegedly he got a 16 the second time around. But it has been confirmed over the years that, yes, in fact, Vince Young scored a 6 on the Wonderlic. On the other hand, the highest quarterback ever Wonderlic was, of course, one Ryan Fitzpatrick out of Harvard, who scored 48. And if you watch Ryan Fitzpatrick play, that intelligence did not translate to the field. Like, Ryan Patrick was I'm just going to throw up 40 yards and see what the hell happens quarterback if there ever was one. Like, I don't think anybody ever threw the ball into coverage the way Ryan Fitzpatrick threw the ball into coverage. So you don't want him to be too high either. It seems like the optimum Wonderlic score for your quarterback is somewhere in the high 20s, low 30s. That's where most of your Hall of Fame types have existed. So Wonderlic, definitely not too low, but not too high either on the Wonderlic.
Danny Boy, of course, had an infamously low score, according to his.
Yes, he did.
So, and you would have to say you felt pretty good with
Brett Favre also in that teens range, by the way. But again, I think Peyton Manning was a 31. Rodgers was like a 28 or 29. Burrow was a 29. Another one, you don't want it too high. Josh Rosen was, I believe, a 43. Yeah. And, was immediately tagged with, he likes stuff other than football too much. He may actually want to be an investment banker, not a quarterback. So, yeah, again, you want him right in that smart enough to read the playbook, but not too smart to, read books. Yeah. So,
holy Mike Mayock, excellent stuff.
And as far as our root question is, does the combine mean anything? Does it not? I think it means a little bit, but can it be exaggerated? Again, go watch Ruben Bain's tape and now listen to everybody freak out because Ruben Bain has T-Rex arms. And I will personally tell you, I think the minimum Ruben Bain will be is a very good NFL pass rusher. I don't know that the guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, but do I think he's going to be a very solid starter for a number of years?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be a good starter. Yeah.
On the board at number 11, Dolphins are picking, and they bypass him. Will it be the Ted Ginn Jr. moment for you, Professor?
Well, look, there's actually, as we get into this, there's some chance Sonny Styles, who put up a gigantic workup with we've been terrible at linebacker for years. If we drafted a stud linebacker, I would not have an issue with it. If Caleb Downs is there at 11, I have absolutely no issue drafting Caleb. I think we're going to, not to say we'll necessarily draft them, we'll see, but I think they're going to be some players who could strongly contribute to the Miami Dolphins at that position. Unfortunately, I don't know that a stud offensive lineman is going to be one of them, which I think is still our most glaring need. But, yeah, I think there will be a guy the Dolphins are appropriate to take at that position. Right now, I can't believe I'm actually advocating 2 Ohio State players. But, yeah, if Styles or Downs were there at 11, I'd be absolutely fine.
Anything to get us back on the right track. Professor, always a pleasure. I think I sent out that link to you for the next one.
You did. I'll see
All right, so we'll do that. Thanks so much for being with us. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen, with some college basketball plays and excellent breakdown statistically of the many analytics that are involved. People freak out over nothing with the combine.
Yes. The T-Rex arm thing may be the dumbest thing because Aaron Donald supposedly had that, and he arguably is the best defensive lineman that's ever played professional football. So, some of them sort of matter a little, but they really don't matter that much. Like, what you did on the field is what matters. And again, what translates for the most part to the NFL.
My favorite thing on the combine is when they have the football on the stick to mimic the snap.
Oh, God.
And some 400-pound coach who's yelling and screaming, and he's got spittle coming off of his lips as he's telling the guys what to do. And you got 20 guys in shorts and T-shirts. And then the guy mimics the snap with the football that's on a stick. And I'm thinking, whoever invented that football on a stick thing probably made a fortune. I guess it's so the guy doesn't have to bend over and actually pretend that he's snapping a
Yes.
football. All right, good stuff from the professor as always. Always a pleasure being with you guys all week long and on the Degenerate Friday edition of the program. We'll join you again on Monday. For young Luca Panici Lubitz, Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We thank you so much. Thanks to the professor for joining us. And we will see you Monday, next edition of the program, as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.